Jack McKenney here from the National Sports Media Association, and today I'm here with Virginia Co-Sportscaster of the Year 2021, Lane Casadonte. Congratulations on this award. What a huge accomplishment. Tell us a little bit about what it means to you.
Thanks, Jack. I appreciate it. It was funny. I didn't think about this until my wife posted something on social media about it, and it's this award has a place all on its own because it's voted on by your peers. And this is the one where the people who you work with day in and day out recognize what you do on a daily basis. And it shows their appreciation for how hard they think you work. The people that I work with at my station, everybody's kind of in a little silo. They're worried about their story for each day. They're worried about what they're doing. We don't always take time to appreciate what the other one does because we're so focused on what we have to finish. So that's why this award means a little bit more than all the rest of them, because it's voted on by people who understand exactly what it is we do every day.
Yeah, and I also know, Wes McElroy, who also received this award, spoke highly of that and really appreciate that. This comes from your peers, and people are acknowledging the work that you're doing, and I'm sure that's really validating. Definitely.
It is. I have the I have the same attitude about almost all awards. Listen, awards are great. Who doesn't want to get, acknowledged for what they do? But they're also incredibly subjective. And this one is too, but not as much as some of the other ones where you're judged by someone who doesn't know you from Adam. They are just kind of looking at something that you put together at one point during the last year. This one comes from people who know you and they know what you do and how hard you try to work day in and day out. So that's why this one is a little bit different because, again, while it is someone's opinion of your work, it's a more educated opinion of your work.
So tell us a little bit about your work, right? You've covered some really cool teams, and I'm sure there have been some great memories and some great moments that you've had throughout your career. What are some of them?
Oh, man. I just recently got to witness, I think, my fourth or fifth national championship in person. Randolph-Macon College won the Division III national championship. It's one of our programs here in Richmond. I got to go to Indiana and watch them play. Obviously, Virginia basketball, a couple, Richmond football winning the 1AA title back in 2008. So it's a lot of those things. Oddly enough, when I look back on it, there are these things that when I was a kid, I watched and I thought, oh, that wouldn't be so cool to go to that one day. Well, I've gone to almost all of them. Super Bowl, World Series, Daytona 500, like I said, national championships, the NCAA tournament I go to just about every year. So to be able to do stuff like that and be in the middle of what everybody else, is paying attention to, who else has a job like that?
Yeah, and obviously, it's certainly a dream. Are there any mentors, any people in your life who really pushed you, to get where you are now, and anyone that, you really want to thank and had maybe a hand in this award?
Probably the three people who are most responsible for me being in front of the camera in the first place. And that's two of my news directors. My very first news director, who's a guy named Luke Michaels, when I worked at a small station in upstate New York. A former sports director here named Ivan Schwartz. And it's a long story, but he saw some of my work from my old station. When I came here to Richmond, I was a news photographer. I was behind the camera, I was shooting news every night. But I had done sports at my old station as fill-in, and Ivan had seen some of that work. And he convinced our news director here at the time, a guy named Elliot Weiser, that, maybe I could fill in one night. And I filled in twice, once planned, once not planned. One was an emergency fill-in. And based off of those two opportunities, I was put in the sports department full time. So it's kind of like preparation meeting opportunity. That's what luck is. That's what they say luck is anyway. But those three people thought enough of me to give me the opportunity to be able to do what I really wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's really special. And it's great that, you got that opportunity and it developed into something really big, which is where you are now. But let's switch to young professionals like me. What's some advice you'd give to someone like me who's trying to get into this profession? Obviously, it's going to be difficult and there's going to be a lot of work, but what more to expect, and what's some good advice?
One of the best pieces of advice I got was from my grandfather, actually, when I was offered my first job in television. It wasn't what I wanted to do. Again, I wanted to be in front of the camera, and it was a job behind the camera. And he said, well, it's a foot in the door, isn't it, to what you would kind of really like to do? And I said, yeah, it was. He said, then you should take the opportunity, because if it's not what you want, you don't have to stay there forever. The only advice that I could give someone who really wants to get into this business is be as diverse as possible. And what I mean by that is learn to do many, many different things. Unfortunately, in this business, we're called upon to do the work of 2, 3, 4 people each day, especially in the lower markets where a lot of new broadcasters and new journalists will be starting out. So learn to do a couple of different things. If you want to do sports television, you got to learn how to shoot and edit, because you're going to be shooting a lot of your own stuff. Also, if you want to cover sports, learn a lot about the sports that you don't necessarily like, the sports that maybe you haven't followed as a kid growing up, because you're going to be asked to be somewhat knowledgeable about a wide variety of different things that might come into your market or pass across your desk. And you're going to want to have at least a working knowledge of everything in order to be able to tell the stories about them accurately.
Yeah, and it's a lot to keep up with, right? Obviously, you've covered so many teams, right? I'm sure people are all asking you about the Commanders, asking you about Virginia Tech basketball, asking about VCU basketball. That's a lot of teams. That's a lot of action to keep up with. What's your advice for keeping up with all that news, transactions, et cetera?
Do the best you can. Make contacts, pay attention to, follow as many people. I know Twitter isn't exactly for everyone, but I kind of use it as a news feed. Follow as many people on social media as you can, because that's where a lot of information is shared. I think we're only here in Richmond. We're not, one of the top 50 markets in the country, but we have over 60 high schools. I think we cover a dozen different colleges and universities. We do cover the Commanders, and we also have NASCAR that comes here twice a year. So it's a lot. Sometimes you feel like you're staring into your phone for 15 hours a day. The other thing I would say is that, you should have, I'm trying to think of the word that I want. You should have an obligation, or feel an obligation, to be and get every story that you can. But you also have to understand you're not going to get them all. And you're also going to have to understand you have to find those times where you have to just step away and disconnect for a little bit. And if you miss something, you miss something. You'll catch up to it eventually. And it's okay, because not everybody is going to get everything. You should try to get everything, but always have it in the back of your head that you're never going to be 100%, and that's okay too.
Yeah, and it's a great point you make with Twitter, right? Because obviously you can't follow the Commanders or Virginia Tech basketball 24/7, but in your trendings you can see, oh, Chase Young is coming back from his ankle injury on this date, or just quick headlines that can really keep you up to date with what's going on with the team, and certain transactions and everything that saves you time and doesn't have you're not reading these exhaustive articles 24/7.
And you know what, there's people that there's people that cover the beat, and you'll cover a team, but not like their beat reporter might, and that's okay, because that's what they do. for me personally, I never wanted a beat. I never wanted to cover just one thing all the time or one team all the time. I think that would drive me nuts. So that's part of what, kind of makes it okay for me. Oh, the beat writer got this story. Well, I would expect him to. He's there all the time. Doesn't mean I can't do my own version of it, or I might, get something that he doesn't have every once in a while. But because I'm not, in that mindset, and I'm not where I really want to cover a team that closely, then I can, understand if I get scooped on a story or two here and there.
And obviously you said, obviously you're doing a lot of work. People are tweeting at you, you're tweeting out this stuff. You're going into production every day. You're doing stuff all the time, 24/7. It's relentless. How do you take a break? How do you find a balance? And also, find time for yourself, find time for your family in this profession?
I walk my dogs and cut the grass, and I don't take my phone for either one of them. But yeah, my phone starts 8 o'clock in the morning some days, where I'm getting texts or I'm getting calls or, an email here and there from somebody either at work or from somebody outside. I try to have my schedule within arm's length. It's right over here to my left. Try to have that next to me at all times, whether it's on my phone or, I'm old, so I like to write stuff down, because if I write it down, I remember it more. Just try and keep yourself as organized as possible. And then the more organized you are, the more opportunities you will have to kind of step back and separate yourself here and there for a little while.
That's great advice, Mr. Casadonte. Congratulations on your award, and thank you so much for coming on today.
Jack, I appreciate it anytime, and thank you.